All right. Hello, beloveds. Thank you for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is the third dose of your daily vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time the Queen goes live. Hello, Queen Adaya, RG3 Fitness, Woke One is Black, Melanated Brown, Darnell, Soldier M, TJ, Danielle, Judette. All right, Honda, 0841, Lee, Christopher, I see you, Lenore. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Hello, Dervis and Ray Williams. Ray Williams, I love the Queen. Well, thank you, beloved. You know I love you right, Black. Okay, Capricornus. So everyone, please like and share, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. You can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan page and follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay, so I have these two lovely gentlemen here with me. Twins. They're identical, as you can see. Desmin works and Donovan works, okay? So we're going to be talking about mental health and also the importance of, keeping your mental health intact and how that is directly related to your physical health and well-being. And they're going to be sharing with you their experiences in receiving therapy. Because as I told you before, now I interviewed Desmond last week, but sadly, I mistakenly deleted that video. So I may reiterate some of the things that we talked about. And at the end of the day, it's very important that you take care of your mental health as well as your physical, because it all starts with the thoughts in mind. We manifest, things into reality, and our thoughts are energy. And another thing is, now I'm no medical doctor, right? No medical doctor. So I'm not giving you medical advice, but I will say this. Studies have shown that mental health not being intact, and you not taking care of your mental health the way you should, that can actually lead to physical ailments. For example, strokes, heart attacks, cardiac, other cardiac issues like cardiovascular disease and things like that, even diabetes. Because if you think about it, when you're stressing and worrying and depressed and things like that, that is stressful. And we know that's why people have hypertension, because it can also cause high blood pressure. People have heart attacks sometimes due to stress, and strokes especially. So with that all being said, very important to take care of our mental well-being, right? Okay, so let's get into it. So let's talk to Donovan first, because we talked to Desmond last week. So let's talk to Donovan first. Okay, so Donovan, so what made you decide, to go and get therapy? I'm sure you were concerned about your mental health, but yeah, just give us a little insight into what, first put the thought in your mind. Did you have support, from people around you that encouraged you to do it and things like that?
Actually, it was my choice. At the time I was dating somebody and the relationship was going very bad, and I was doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. Pressures from not getting attention from the person, and I was trying to do anything and everything to get their attention. And I didn't like the way I was feeling. I was feeling low. I was feeling depressed and everything like that. And so what I did was, at my job, they offer a employee assistant program in which you're able to get 5 free visits for seeing a mental therapist. And so I actually called the line, got a authorization, and was able to see a therapist that's in my network. And so they recommended a therapist, got me in contact with her, and I started seeing her, and it helped me to be able to know that like I'm not unattractive. It helped me to realize what I need to work on within myself. Because basically went to her because at the time, like I said, I was dealing with somebody and they made me feel low, and I felt like I need to get help. And as I went through therapy and seeing the therapist, I realized, no, it's not really me. Yes, I still need to go talk to a therapist, but it was them. But I need to learn healthy ways to cope with the depression and cope with not getting the proper attention and stuff like that.
Right. Now, so would you say that getting therapy helped you to better understand the feelings you were having, and also helped you to get a little bit more insight, or just to know yourself a little better?
Yes, it did. Therapy made me realize that I have certain triggers that cause me to act a certain type of way. Therapy has made me acknowledge my faults. It also has helped me to come into a plan to work through those issues. Because before therapy, in order for me to work through my issues, I was promiscuous. I may sleep with somebody to make me feel better for the moment, and it didn't do nothing for me. It was temporary relief,
Right.
not of actually working through it. So with therapy, it's helped me realize that I can actually do healthy things like journaling, um, maybe going outside walking, just other different therapeutic things to work through those issues instead of going around being promiscuous or drinking a lot or doing anything like that that was unhealthy for me mentally.
Okay, you know what? Okay, so now let's talk to you, Desmond. So, what made you decide to get therapy? Who influenced you, encouraged you, and things like that? And why did you feel that you needed therapy?
Well, my twin brother Donovan got me into therapy because, like him, I was in a bad relationship and I was doing things that, like him, trying to get attention, to be like a people pleaser type of person. So I felt like at the time it was like I was saying last time, but I'm reiterated. Like he knew somebody that we went to church with that was a therapist, and he was like, "Why don't you go see her?" Her name was Angel Mays, and I wanted to go see her because I had issues dealing with like codependency and like always relying on people because like when I was little, because I was born with cerebral palsy, a malversion of my left hand side, I was kind of coddled when I was little, so that would cause me to be like so dependent on people and very like dependent on people, and I know I didn't want to be dependent on people no more, and I want to be like more independent.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because that I could see how that would make you feel codependent. And then when you grow up being coddled and then you become dependent on other people, and then that you carry that into adulthood, and that's likely why in relationships you allow people to basically run over you, I'm sure, and you tried so hard to please them because you needed them because that's what comforted you. You felt like you had to have those people in your life, and you had to, you felt more comfortable when you were able to go to them for things that you were having or the needs that you wanted, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I figured. So yes. So now, with that all being said, it's very admirable that the two of you went and sought out therapy, because I'm going to tell you what some people do. Some people, when they're having problems and trouble coping with things, whether if it's a bad relationship, maybe they were abused as a child and they're still, dealing with the consequences or the ramifications of it, or maybe they just had something else traumatic, right? Loss of a loved one, any type of grief, anything that's making you low vibrational and depressed. What I find many people do, rather than going to therapy, they go and start abusing alcohol or drugs to escape reality. Because some people don't want to confront reality, they don't want to deal with it. And so they find that, using a substance abuse is something that they feel like helps them to cope. Now, of course, that may just put a band-aid on it, on the wound for the time being, because of course you're not in your right frame of mind when you're, on alcohol and drugs and things like that, especially when you're abusing them. So they don't have to worry about those problems. But the thing is, when they come down off that high, or when they sober up, the problems are still there. And they're likely worse because now you've added, substance abuse into the mix. And that also gives people thoughts of depression and makes people suicidal. So it's very important to talk about that as well. I'm really glad that you two went and got therapy, because that's what people need when you're going through something. And there's a stigma, especially in the Black community. A lot of Black people feel like you have to be crazy to go get therapy. Like there
Yeah.
has to be something mentally wrong with you for you to go get therapy. But therapy can be for someone who simply needs to sit down and talk to someone else about their feelings, someone who needs to get to know themselves a little better, understand why they're feeling certain feelings and thinking certain thoughts or doing certain things. That is beneficial. It's not always for someone who's having some type of serious mental illness or whatever. So also, I would like to ask Donovan, could you elaborate on some of the maybe the techniques or tactics that you were taught to use, during your therapeutic treatments?
All right. One therapeutic treatment that I actually used recently and it very helped out a lot is I wrote a letters to people that hurt me, and it really made me to release a lot of anger and resentment that I had in me. And so, one thing my therapist said is that the person that hurt you doesn't have to be involved in your healing. So, really, you could write a letter to somebody and express everything. Like she told me to get a letter and write down completely how I feel, cuss, scream, whatever you have to do when you write the letter. And then she said you can burn it or you can flush it down the toilet, whatever. But when you do it, you releasing everything. And she said you can actually write it down as many times as you want to. Like, even if you have to do it again, to write down because you missed something. Because then, if you have, also I learned too, when you have a face-to-face conversation with somebody, sometimes you may miss out on something that you wish you could have said. And then you keep on writing it out in your letter, it gives you the opportunity to say what you got to say in the letter.
Okay.
Like whatever you want to. So I wrote the letter a lot of times, multiple times until I felt okay with it. And then I lit it up and then I just let it go. That was one technique I had. I let it go.
Okay. All right. So thanks for sharing that. Now, may I ask, you don't have to tell, but
yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, who is one of the people that you wrote a letter to?
One of the people I wrote a letter to was my childhood bully. Because I didn't realize that I took a lot of the hurt that my childhood bully did upon me into my grown-up life. Because as a child, I wanted to be accepted by Black men as a child, but I was feminine, so Black men used to always ridicule me. You too feminine, this, man up, do this, and bully me, cussing me out, call me fag and gay and names like that. And so I realized I took it into my adulthood, my teenage years in my adulthood, by trying to get people's attention, whether it's by being promiscuous, going over beyond buying gifts to please people, by saying yes and not saying no, and stuff like that. So I wrote a letter to my childhood bully about how I felt, like how you made me feel insignificant, and how I took on your hurt and how you treated me and used it on in my life, and how I hurt others through my hurt, and that's not right. Because they always say hurt people. That's not right. To me, what I learned is you still made the conscious choice to hurt that person, and that's a bullcrap excuse to me. Because if you hurt, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily hurt somebody else. You can say to yourself and heal yourself before you come around another person to hurt them, because you don't know what the next person's going through. But I wrote that letter to my childhood bully, and it helped me a lot to realize, like, you're the one that's hurt, not me. And I wanted you to accept me for who I was, but at the end of the day, it's not about having you accept me. I need to accept myself first. And then once I accept myself, then and love myself wholeheartedly, I don't care what you think about me, because it's your loss of what you losing as a good person. Because I know I'm a good friend, I'm a good lover, I'm a good son, nephew, whatever I'm supposed to be in your life. I always try to give the best. So by loving myself, I know I can give the best.
Absolutely. So it definitely helped your self-worth and your self-esteem. So that's excellent. And we should always think good about ourselves and not worry so much, because I find a lot of people absolutely do worry so much. In fact, worry more about what other people think than what they think about themselves. And it's very important to worry about how you feel about yourself. That's why it's called self-esteem, not what everybody else thinks esteem. Okay. All right. So that's great. Okay. So now, Desmin, so the same question.
A technique I used was talked about it before, but because I don't know, it was EMDR was a technique I used to some of my healing to get rid of, because I have really bad anxiety sometimes. I get it, and when I do, I walk around, pace around, and I cuss at myself and stuff like that. Like my anxiety, I go through the roof sometimes. So I use that sometimes, EMDR, to get rid of my anxiety. And also too, like my brother did, I wrote a letter to some of my people that I felt like I needed to get stuff off my chest, because I held in a whole lot of stuff. Like it's hard for me to open up to people. So when I wrote that letter, I got to open up to some of my people. Like I wrote a letter to my mother or whatnot, because I felt like we had a disconnect. I felt like I had a disconnect with my mother, so I wrote a letter to her, telling her how I feel about things, and she really accepted it and was happy that I did, because she understood how I felt with the disconnect.
Okay, that's good. And so the strategy that Desmond's therapist gave him was EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, right? And so that's basically, you want to tell us a little bit about what you did when you did that? Just one example, perhaps?
One example was I would sit there and close my eyes, and then I would like use my make a beat, patting on my thighs and closing my eyes. And wherever the anxiety came from, I would focus on the anxiety spot, like my stomach, and I'll bring up the memory in my head and think about what it was, and I'll open my eyes and I'll talk to about it with my therapist, and then I would close my eyes again and pat my thighs and close my eyes and focus on it again to see what was it the feeling was about. I would explain to them, and then as I do it, it would ease my anxiety. And then one other thing I did too, I used to walk around the park by my house, my old house, walk around and look around and listen to music while I walk, and it would help ease my anxiety.
Okay, so with that all being said, it has it's helpful sometimes to listen to like tapping noises and different types of tones and things like that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just asking. It's a type of bilateral stimulation, tapping on either side of the body and things like that. So I'm gonna see if I can pull up some bilateral tones that they would use in this type of therapy, just to let the audience get an idea of what you're trying to describe, which you did an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, here's one right here. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Could you all hear that?
Yes.
I could.
Okay. I couldn't really hear it. Okay. Could you all hear that? Those of you in the chats, once if you could hear it, twos if not. I would inhale twice real quick and then exhale repeatedly and over for my anxiety. Okay. Okay, so yes, they obviously heard that. Okay, said relaxing. Okay, yes, so that's just an example. All right. Okay, there go the ones. Okay, great. So that was just a brief example of some of the type of tones that you may hear when you're using EMDR therapy. Okay, eye movement, desensitization, reprocessing. Okay, and also you could just be doing something as simple as walking through the park, you know, observing nature, looking at the trees, focusing on something, gazing at the sun, and things like that. And also, for those of you who didn't catch my spiritual channel, Spiritual Vitamins, I dropped the other day, when I was talking about mental health and how nature benefits it, being in tune with nature. Okay, if you're, you know, you go outside, you hug the trees, you know, you take off your shoes and socks and you ground yourself walking through the grass. You can do this in your yard, a park, you know, whatever you choose. Just observing and being in tune with nature, sitting out in the sun, right? Absorbing the sun through your melanin, helping the body to produce more vitamin D, sun gazing for a few minutes, just things like that. Okay. And so now with that all being said, the next question I would like to ask is, so when you two were growing up, being twins, I know that can be good and bad, I guess sometimes, mostly good. But so by the fact that you two were, you know, going through different things, now Donovan was being bullied, Desmin was being coddled. And so how did that affect the dynamics of the relationship, or did it? Did that make you, Donovan, did that make you feel a little envious because he was getting all the attention, or did that make you more attention starved, like you wanted to do things to get more attention in the home, not with your friends, but like, you know, in the home or whatever? Were you two competitive against one another, or not? Yeah, let's just talk about that.
Yeah, I did get a little jealous because he got more attention and coddled and stuff like that. And so what I used to do is she was a very cleanly person. So what I used to do is I used to go and clean up the house. And then I'd be like, Flora, come and look. And I cover up her eyes. And then I show her where I cleaned up at. And she's like, oh my gosh, baby, I'm so proud of you. You a clean boy. You my clean baby. And so that would make me feel better because I would want more praises and everything like that. And so I realized I use that in my life, like even in my relationships, like my last relationship. I've always wanted more attention, like all the attention from the person, or I do whatever I got to do to get the attention from the person. When I need to understand is we got to be able to balance each other out. And so that has caused me to in my adult years to want to seek attention from other people or be hoggish with my attention. And I didn't feel like it was right. So I'm working through that now and everything like that. But being as a twin growing up, yes, he got more attention and I would get jealous and would do things so I could get the attention and the praises that I wanted.
Okay. That's understandable. So Desmond, so how did you, basically the same question, but not about the attention, because I know you were getting the attention, but did you notice that Donovan was being bullied, as you all were growing up? And if so, how did you feel about that? And did you talk to him about it, try to encourage him or whatever? Like, how do you feel seeing your brother be bullied?
Well, when it was from childhood bully, because we was all cool with each other. So I didn't really like get on me like that because my aunt, our great aunt, who you was talking about, Flora Carter, will always kind of take over and try to take command of the situation to tell us not to stop not get bullied or whatnot. And our grandmother would kind of tell Don to like to man up and try to fight back or whatnot. But then it really started hurting me when we got into middle school and high school when he got bullied. I would like try to. I'm never forget one situation somebody tried to make fun of my brother. I kind of stood up to him. I'm like, hey man, I'm not talking to my brother like that. Call him the gay expletive or whatnot. So I kind of hurt my feelings that he would get made fun of. I didn't like that. And even though I know I couldn't fight, I don't know if I would have fought somebody back then, but as I got older, I tried to be more stand up for myself, stand up for him, and tell them not trying to make fun of him or whatnot.
Right. Well, that's good.
Queen, I do got something to add if you don't mind.
Oh, go ahead.
There's one time when I was in high school, I never forget this. Somebody came up to me thinking I was my brother. They was like, is your brother gay? And I said, oh, honey, you got the wrong twin. Oh, I'm just playing. I was like, but why is it your business? See, if it was me now, I'd be like, are you mad because I might try to take your man? But I was like, I was different than I was going to. And I was like, no, I was like, you got the wrong twin. And I walked off. But if it was me now, it'd be a whole different type of person. Right.
That's actually funny. Talk about putting their foot in their mouth. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now, as you all got, they're laughing in the chat. Okay. That was really a funny story. Okay. I like it. Okay. So now, as you all got older and you went on, your separate ways in life or whatever, let me ask you this. So by the fact that twins, especially identical twins, are usually very close, right?
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever, either of you, Donovan, you can answer first. Okay. Did either of you ever feel any type of separation anxiety when one of you, for example, Donovan, when you moved away, right? Mm-hmm. Did you feel any separation anxiety from when you was separated from Desmin?
Not really, no anxiety. I did miss him a lot because I'm so used to having somebody in the house with me. Because when I lived in Louisville, we was living together, so it was more of I missed his presence. So I guess yes, I had some separation anxiety. I did miss his presence and stuff like that. But as me being on my own, I did like having my own and not having Dad so codependent on me to do everything. Right. So it was sadness, but also a good thing at the same time.
Okay. Now, same question to you, Desmin.
Yeah, I missed him. Kind of, but I would like to be on my own, but then I kind of miss him because like if I ever get in a situation with my codependency, I would always call on him, and like I would ask him something. I ask him a question when he would be like no, but then it was like I'm like okay, well I'll talk to you later. But like he knows me, so he knows what like I would want. So he would like.
I know when he wants something, so I'd be like, "Des, no," and then he'll go. He used to manipulate me to get what he wanted, and I would give in. So that's another thing I have is setting boundaries. It's an issue with me, setting boundaries, and so he ended up know how to overextend those boundaries, and I feel bad. So yeah, it ended up being like his codependency, and I have codependency issues too, where he would know how to manipulate me to get what he wants, and I would do the same thing with other people.
Right. Okay.
I'm appalled. I am appalled.
Clearly, he was nefarious, Donovan. Okay, so you know what? But you know why he was that way? It's because he was coddled. I
Yeah.
call it being spoiled. And
Yes.
that's, I have a sister that's like that. My
Mm.
youngest sister. Yes. So I know exactly what you're talking about, honey. I still to this day cannot tell her no. Okay. I just
I
can't.
tried. I'm working on that. I'm working on because I can't put myself in the bind to help him out, and I realize that I got to learn how to set my boundaries. I'm telling him no,
Right.
and I still kind of feel bad sometimes, every now and again. But I'm like, no, because I realize too, if we keep on helping them, how are they gonna learn the lesson?
That's right. Sometimes we find that we're enabling people and we're
Yes.
actually doing more damage to them than good.
Yes.
It's called tough love. Sometimes that's what you have to give it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so research surrounding the Black community and mental health. Now, they say research suggests that the adult Black community is 20% more likely to experience serious mental health issues, such as major depressive disorder or generalized anxiety disorder. Additionally, Black emerging adults between the ages of 18 to 25 also experience higher rates of mental health issues and lower rates of mental health service utilization compared to white emerging adults, and as well as older Black adults too. Now, these sobering statistics suggest that despite efforts to reduce disparities among race and class in the United States, inequalities are still increasing. However, further research is required to clarify these findings and to understand the factors that are associated with lower utilization of mental health care among the Black community. Now, lack of trust in the medical system due to the historical abuses that Black people have gone in, dealt with under the guise of healthcare, less access to adequate insurance, culturally responsive mental health providers, financial burdens, and past history with discrimination within the mental health system. These are all things that hinder some Black people from getting adequate mental health, services. Also, a fear that these experiences will be repeated, and that's all suggested by research as the factors into explaining the lower utilization of mental health care among the Black community. That's absolutely true. Like I said in the beginning, many Black people, they view mental health as, has a stigma. Many of our people feel like you have to have something mentally wrong with you to get therapy. They're afraid of what other people are going to think about them if they find out. Some people are not comfortable sitting down and talking to other people about their innermost feelings and thoughts. And so they just keep things bottled up inside. But if you keep things bottled up, and they just keep piling up, more things come upon you, you can just literally explode someday. So it's very important to take care of our mental health. And if you feel that you need someone to talk to, you should definitely consider getting a therapist. And that's why I have these two gentlemen on here, so they could just enlighten everyone and tell us basically the benefits that they receive from therapy. So we see now they're having better relationships. Now Desmin is no longer codependent. And can stand up for himself, and say no. He's learned to say no, stop allowing people in relationships to use him. Donovan is doing better in his relationships, has a higher self-esteem, is more concerned about what he thinks of himself, as we should be, as opposed to worrying about what other people think. So those are some of the benefits. And there's many other ways that therapy can benefit all of us. And if you feel like you need someone to talk to, don't be ashamed, don't feel bad or whatever, or worry about what people are going to say. Do what's best for you, because everything starts from here. Okay? Now, they say it is clear that systematic barriers disproportionately impact mental health in the Black community. Now, although the Black community roughly constitutes 12% of the U.S. population, they're overrepresented in high-risk populations. For example, the Black community comprises approximately 40% of the homeless population, 50% of the prison population, and 45% of children in foster care systems. Now, research shows that exposure to violence, incarceration, and the involvement in the foster care system can increase the chances of someone developing a mental illness. Consequently, the Black community in particular is significantly at increased risk of developing a mental health issue due to historical, economic, social, political influences that systematically expose the Black community to factors that are known to be damaging both psychologically and physically. Now, research consistently shows that these disparities are not a new phenomenon and have been present for generations. Historically, the Black community was and continues to be disadvantaged in mental health through subjection to trauma, through enslavement, oppression, colonialism, racism, and segregation, just to name a few. We don't have to even get into the police killings of unarmed Black people that we continue to witness on a daily, Black people being basically lynched in broad daylight. Those things can also be detrimental to our mental health. It can make us have, thoughts of depression, worry, anxiety, and all of those things, right? It can be traumatizing, to say the least. So now, a growing body of research suggests that traumatic experiences can cause profound biological changes in the person experiencing the traumatic event. Cutting-edge researchers are also beginning to understand just how these physiological changes are genetically encoded and passed down to future generations. So with that all being said, the trauma and the things that our ancestors went through during slavery, during the years of Jim Crow and all of that, those things have been passed on down. And that's why when we say, some of us feel like we suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome, you absolutely can be suffering from that, because these things are passed down, genetically encoded and passed down through the DNA. Now, these findings suggest that in addition to the cultural and psychological inheritance of trauma, intergenerational trauma may be passed down biologically from one generation to the next. And that's why people talk about generational curses, because something that happened to your ancestors can absolutely happen to you. Now, despite progress in the recent years, there is still a significant stigma associated with mental health concerns. In the Black community, there is often difficulty acknowledging psychological difficulties, but useful strategies including religious coping and methods such as pastoral guidance and prayer often are the most preferred coping mechanisms. Destigmatizing mental health can be achieved by helping others, especially in the Black community. You can help others also to understand that mental health is an essential part of the well-being, just like a healthy diet of sleep and exercise. And that's absolutely true, as I told you before. You have to take care of both your physical and your mental. Letting or being lax about taking care of your mental and spiritual health can lead to physical ailments and things like that. So you want to be happy, healthy, and whole, right? Eating a proper diet also can affect the mental health. And again, I'm not a medical doctor, so I'm not giving you medical advice. Let me just say that for ScrewTube's sake. But absolutely, eating a healthy diet can affect your mental health, because there are certain things that we eat that have chemicals in them, the GMOs and all that stuff, all these toxins and things like that. Not healthy for our body physically, but also they give you, can cloud your mind, impair your ability to think clearly and things like that. And some of the things that are in foods these days, such as, I want to say Red 40, B9, and things like that. I think it's B9, but Red 40, the coloring or the chemical they put in the hot Cheetos and things like that, right? Those things have been said to cause Alzheimer's. So when we get older, so even if we're not directly affected, till it's noticeable right now, things that we consume on a daily, those can absolutely affect us later on down the line. So you want to be careful of what you eat and try to eat a healthy, balanced diet, right? Hopefully of mostly fruits and vegetables. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's talk about maybe another strategy that you used during therapy. Or you can talk about that, or maybe some of the things that you, okay, like when you went to seek therapy, I'm talking to Donovan. Now,
Okay.
Donovan, you went to seek therapy. Did you have a list of things that you wanted to talk about that you already had in your mind? Or did the therapist make suggestions and just come off, asking you questions, about yourself or about what was bothering you? I'm just curious.
Okay. When I first went to my session, she actually asked me why I came, and then she got my background. So like she got the vital people in my life and how they acted. And so like whenever I would tell her a story or talk about a situation, she always be like, "So what would Flo May say?" Which Flo May was my great grand aunt that raised me. She would say, "So what would she say to you if she knew what she was doing right now?" She'd be like, I told her, my aunt Flo would be like, "Nigga, what the heck you doing? Nigga, you worth more than that." Like, and then it'll make me feel better and laugh at the moment because I'd be like, man, I know what she would expect of me and how she raised me. So it would kind of make me readjust what I'm doing to be like, okay, no, she raised you better than this, so you need to act properly how she raised you. So like, I like the fact how she uses my family members and how she um offers therapy to me, because then I could be like, okay, well, this is what Flo would say, or this is how I should act, or in the situation, stuff like that. Or she'll be like, but what if they did this, or what if, for example, like my last relationship, we would be in a relationship and I have an issue with it, and she'd be like, okay, so but what if they don't act the way you act? Or you think they're going to act? What if they're the complete opposite? And she always is all about like teaching about communication, being transparent and stuff like that, and not sugarcoating stuff. Because for me, I like to sugarcoat stuff, not to hurt nobody's feelings, people pleasing and stuff like that. She's like, no, you need to be direct, tell people how you feel, because I'd rather you get hurt now than get hurt later on in the situation. And so with her, I like to how she uses the people around me in situations, and like in the same example with Dez, like I tell her how he would be manipulating me to get certain things out of me, and how we was arguing and not getting along with different things, and she was just telling me, Dez is a grown man, just like he got himself into the problem, he had to get himself out of it. And so she would teach me like, you got to set boundaries with him, because every time you allow him to overstep those boundaries, he doesn't respect you no more, because he get away with it. And so it helped me to be able to set those boundaries. And now even me and Dad, we have a better relationship now. Like our relationship is so much better. Like we're able to set boundaries with each other. We're able to talk things out and communicate our issues with one another. And we are learning to accept the constructive criticism we give each other to better ourselves. But even though we're the same person, we have the same characteristics. It's kind of hard. So I know when he's not listening, when he is listening, and vice versa. But I know it's all out of love.
Right. Okay, that was excellent. I love it. Okay, so Desmond, the same question.
Oh dang, he was so good. I forgot what it was. Can you tell me?
So basically, I just want to know that when you first went to therapy, did you have like a list of questions that you wanted to ask the therapist? Like you already had it, made up in your mind what you wanted to talk about or what you wanted to ask? Or did the therapist ask you, basically what was the problem, what brought you to therapy and things like that? Did the therapist basically get you to start talking first or start asking you questions and getting you to share your thoughts first? Or did you already have this pre-planned, what you want to say?
It was the therapist. It was kind of both. Because I told the therapist about my issues and stuff. And then because I had 3 therapists at the time. The first therapist more taught me how to say no. And the second therapist helped me find the way my disconnect I have or whatnot with my mom and stuff. And then the therapist I got now has helped me with how to talk it out and like how to communicate with people and try to set boundaries. Because my third therapist helped me to more how to set boundaries or whatnot. Because like Don was saying, I used to overstep his boundaries a lot. Because I can admit I knew how to get to him. So for example, I say like if I need some assistance, it was so weird because like I would text him because I know how he is, because he'll bloop out on me if I text him. He'll call me. So I'm sorry, Don, I got my. He's like, so what you want, Des? So then I'd be like, I didn't want nothing, because I'd be sweating and all that. He's like, well, look, I have you at this time, but you gotta stop because you gotta get together. Like, I know. And then, but before I would just text him and he would call me. Then I have to like explain to him the situation. Then he'd be like, okay, but I ain't gonna help you out no more. So quit asking me. If I say no, but the thing about it is like in the past, I really would try to stop, but then like I would get myself in situations where I would have a choice but to ask him because I get the coach because I know that he would be there for me and stuff like that. But now I get to a situation where I don't try to ask him. I try to get on my own.
Okay. Okay. And that takes time to learn to be independent, right? And he wanted to help you because, of course, he loves you. And it's, I'm sure, hard to say no. And you're his
Yes.
twin. So, and the thing is, you were used to getting your way as you were growing up. And that's what led you to, probably try to manipulate him.
Well,
And,
I'll take yeah, okay, down, whatever. But anyways, like also when we were growing up, we was really sheltered by my great great aunt Flora. Like she really wouldn't let us go nowhere, so we would kind of like be sneaky. So that's how we like kind of like sneaky because she was so overprotective because she was scared because she knew what the real world was. And she was scared for us, so we wanted to be caught up in this real world because like she didn't really like. Most people we brought around, they was always cool. She didn't like them just because she just didn't like them. But they was good people. But she, especially like the females I brought around at the time, because unfortunately I'm attracted to what we would call hood rats. Yeah, I can.
Yes, I always like the hood rats.
so you're attracted to hood rats.
Not now, but in the past.
Hold on. You're attracted to hood rats, and then you wonder why. And I hope none of those hood rats are watching. But anyway, you're attracted to hood rats, but you wonder why you had problems with people taking advantage of you in relationships. That's likely why. Okay, I'm just saying.
And then I was attracted to the thugs or the people that made me no good, because I wanted attention.
Right. And that's what people do sometimes when they want attention. That's exactly what it is. So you all noticed how the things you went through as children, you carried into your adult life, right?
Yeah.
And that is why you got therapy to help you with that. So that's a good point because I want other Black people watching this to know and understand that a lot of the problems and issues that we have right now as adults, some of those things came from things that happened to us when we were children, and we're still carrying the weight of that. Yeah. And so if you have carried it this long and it's still bothering you, then you likely would like to try therapy. You would likely be a good candidate for therapy. So you can learn how to, peel back the layers of the issue, right?
Yeah.
And try to find the resolution and get to know yourself a little better. And then you can also let go of the things that have been holding you back, because sometimes the things that we go through in life that we carry with us, they absolutely hold us back. And they start to hinder things like having healthy relationships.
Yeah.
That's exactly because we go out and we meet and look for the wrong people. Like you two said, we look for the wrong people. We give everything and just don't ask for enough. We allow people to take advantage of us and run over us. And, that's all because feelings of low self-esteem sometimes and just wanting to be loved and accepted.
Yeah. Because if you don't mind me saying, Queen, like our great great aunt Flora, I could say her and my mom and my granny, but like her was like the only person that ever showed me like true love, what true love was, unconditional type of love. And when she passed away, like I tried to search for that type of love, that true unconditional type of love, and it was hard for me to find it. I always try to find it I found it in the wrong type of females.
Right.
And for me, I was bullied by the Black men in the community, the people I wanted to accept me the most. So I would go and seek out any type of male attention in the wrong type of ways and get with the males that were not good for me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I had to seek more attention out to get what I want, to get just to be genuinely loved and everything like that. So for me, because my great great uncle, which was my aunt Flora's husband, he died when he was 9, which was my father figure, and my father, he was in and out of jail for dealing drugs. So me, I struggled with wanting a man to show me how to be a man, and I didn't have that as a child. And I had the opportunity with was my stepdaddy, but at the time I felt like he was taking my mom from me, and so I disliked him because I felt like he was taking my mom from me. When in all actuality, he was just trying to love her and try to love me at the same time. But I was one of my mom to myself because she lived out of state. So it was a lot of emotions tied all into one.
Right, and That's normal for us to feel like that. When we're children, we don't fully understand things. We just know what we're seeing, so that can be confusing. And absolutely, I understand exactly what you're talking about. So listen, I'm going to let you all go because I know Desmond has a Twitter space he's hosting
Oh,
tonight.
tomorrow night. It's tomorrow
Oh,
night.
tomorrow. I'm sorry. I get my days confused. Okay. So that's tomorrow night. Desmond's hosting a Twitter space at 10 p.m. And what's the topic, Desmond?
I'm gonna say black. It could be black history that we don't know about, that they don't really talk about, and like how it created our culture that we got today.
Okay, excellent. Okay, excellent. And so with that all being said, for all of you that are on Twitter, please be sure to attend. And I really want to thank you two lovely gentlemen for coming on here and sharing your stories and giving us your insight. And that, I'm sure it has helped, because it has
Yes, it
helped me
has.
understand, even more so about the different therapies, that they use, or the different tactics that they use during therapy. And also just to hear the insight of how you all, you carried childhood things that happened into your adult life, but now, thanks to therapy, you've overcome many of those things. And anything else that you're dealing with, you're currently working on it because you're both still in therapy. So that's really excellent. Okay. So I want to thank you all. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And let's get some fire emojis in the chat. Can we get some fire emojis in the chat for Desmond? Donovan, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I do want to say, 'cause I notice a lot of things. So when I talk to my friends about going to therapy, they always talk about the costs and stuff like that. Like they're scared of the cost sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't realize till I started working in the corporate world, or even for an organization, is you need to look into the employee assistance programs, because majority of these organizations that you work for has employee assistance programs in which they will actually pay for a certain amount of sessions for you to get the therapy. And so they will cover that 100%, like for 5 sessions for whatever issue you have. And then after that, you can make arrangements with the therapist to pay on your own, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like even that, just trying that for 5 sessions, you never know, it can make a breakthrough with anything like
Right.
that.
Okay, that's awesome. So glad you brought that up, because that's one thing that we have to think about too, the cost. And that's the thing. Some of our people may not be able to afford the cost. So that is really good. So you said most jobs have this.
Yeah, the employee assistance program, they have where they have different perks for the organization, in which they have like different, like um dealing with like law, dealing with like different discounts or different things, stuff like that. They should have a program in which it helps you, where they can actually recommend a therapist, because they want to do work-life balance. A lot of these organizations do work-life balance. So with that work-life balance, is your mental health is part of that. So with that, they offer those services where you go see a therapist for like 5 free visits, and it's for 5 free visits for each issue that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you have an issue maybe dealing with like childhood issue, that could be one issue, and you have 5 free visits. You may be able to go again for another 5 free visits dealing with like financial stress. So like, it's ways where you can actually talk about and get those issues talked to with a therapist at no cost. It depends on the organization, but at no cost if you worried about that too.
Right. Okay. Well, that's excellent. Thank you so much for that information. That is very helpful. So again, I want to thank you both for coming. I really appreciate you, taking your time out of your busy days to talk to us all about this. It's very much needed and very important. Go ahead, Desmond.
So with this, when we had therapy, it gave me like a lot of confidence that I never had before, like to where I can do my own podcast. And I never thought I would be doing my own podcast, and like I actually enjoy doing my podcast because it helps me with my anxiety, and like I can talk about issues that really mean a lot to me.
Right. So that's like therapeutic itself.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So that's really good. And let me tell you something. Like I said, I applaud anyone who knows and feels that they need therapy, and they actually go out and start, the treatments, because like I said, so many people get hooked on the wrong things, get hooked on drugs, and like you said, Donovan, it was causing you to be promiscuous.
Yeah,
And
just want attention.
yes, and that's another thing that people deal with when they're going through things. They absolutely, because they want to be accepted. So they feel like that's a way to get people to want, to want to be with them and stay with them. So absolutely. And you can do other things that are to your detriment. And that's why it's very important to get treatment when you need it. And if you feel like you need it, then you probably do, right? Yeah. So with that all being said, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please make sure that you like and share this video. Carmen says, thank you, Queen. Those are beautiful, strong young men, very intelligent. Well, thank you for your kind words.
Thank you.
Desmond. Okay, Pride of Billy says, thank you so very much, twins, for your courage. to come and share your stories. I see both of you healing and recovering. Stand strong.
Thank you.
Louise says, proud of you guys. RG3 says, it takes a strong person to go to therapy. Take the steps to get the help you need. Absolutely. Absolutely. B. Zilla says, great broadcast. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. All right. Terry Hint says, thank you, Desmond and Donovan. That's right. Thank you both. Oh, so with that all being said.
Can I say something real quick, Queen? Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I just want to tell Don, hey, Don, like, I'm proud of you. Like, you know, doing what you got to do to overstep, you know, to get yourself together, because, like, it really means a lot to me that you're doing your thing. And, like, when you tell me you're proud of me, it means a lot to me that you tell me that I'm proud of me. I mean, that you're proud of me, because of, like, I would look at you even though I'm the big brother, I would look at you as the big brother, because to me, you was strong and never took nothing for nobody. And I always looked up to you as a big brother, as me being a big brother. I always thought you was the big brother, but even though I'm the big brother, but I was going to tell you that I love you, and you mean a lot to me. I don't know. Thank you for being there for me.
I love you too, and I'm very proud of you and what you're doing. I love seeing your growth. You going through therapy, you investing in yourself and your beliefs. It means a lot, and I'm actually extremely proud of you. You growing up and you learning to be independent man, and you making Floor proud. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of what you're doing and the things that you're accomplishing.
Oh my goodness, this is so amazing. I absolutely love it. I actually feel like a Yala Van Zant. I just fixed it.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you all are too much. Okay, so I just love you all, and I'm so glad that you came. And I see LaMarcus put in the chat that the queen is therapy with those daily vitamins. Thank you, beloved. LaMarcus says, shout out to the queen. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that all being said, we're going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. Please be sure to like and share this video. Like and share this video. You may know someone who is having some type of issues, going through something that they're keeping inside, and maybe they actually need therapy, and this may help them. So please make sure you do, okay? Ray Williams says, your strides and struggles truly advance your lives. We love you. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? Thank you. Thank you. Okay. RG3 says, right, Queen. Awesome live. Awesome twins. Absolutely. Thank you, beloved. Okay, Sweepy says you can sometimes sign up for that benefit during open enrollment. Okay, great. Okay, so that's great to know. So she said when you're talking about Donovan with the employee assistance and stuff, said that sometimes you can sign up for it during open enrollment. So that's good for people to know that. So everyone, please make sure that you talk about this at your jobs. If you feel like you need therapy, you may be able to get 5 paid for sessions. Cassandra says, thank you, Queen. So informative. Thank you, beloved. Okay, so everyone enjoy the rest of this lovely evening, and like and share the video. Don't forget to follow the Queen on Instagram at Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur. You can also follow the Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur fan page, and you can follow me on Twitter at DGoddess27. Enjoy your weekends, beloveds. Oh, go ahead, Desmond.
And I was gonna say, my podcast is called That Works, DATWORKS. It's streaming on all podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, and all that. But you got to type in my real name, Desmin Works, DESMINWORKS, and it should pop up. I talk about Black issues dealing with that Black community and how it relates to the Black community and what means a lot to me.
Okay, look like we're having some camera issues for a second. Okay, so we got that. That Works is Desmond's podcast title. It's DATWORKS. And it's streaming on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, and those podcast forums. So make sure you tune in. He talks about Black issues and other interesting things. He talks about sports as well for the guys who want to listen. All right. So with that all being said, I wish you all love and peace, and enjoy the rest of this weekend. And until next time, beloveds, I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.